This is Chicago Sports Tonight.
A disappointed Jed Hoyer admitting defeat to the Red Sox, who ponied up for the two-time All-Star, who also won a Gold Glove. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chicago Sports Tonight. I'm Lou Canellis. Cassie Carlson's alongside. Look who's in the house. Midday royalty. Marshall Harris, who hosts Middays on The Score. My good buddy Carmen DeFalco, part of the Midday team on ESPN Radio. Both here. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming on out. And I want to start with baseball because Cubs position players arrived at spring training back on Friday. White Sox tomorrow on Monday. But I want to really get into the Bregman move or lack of move for the Cubs. Are you upset it didn't happen? I'm
not totally upset, but I think you can hear the disappointment in Jed Hoyer's voice because of the situation he's in going into his final year of the contract, and Bregman would arguably make them an instant contender going into this season. So for the safety of his job, you understand that he had to go to the Ricketts. They weren't willing to pay up any more money, which is typical of the Cubs. But I like that it gives Matt Shaw the opportunity to earn the spot in spring training, make his debut, and be the everyday third baseman instead of having 7 players like they did last year playing the position. I like that opportunity.
You know, guys, I'm just not sure if he's worth $40 million a season.
Well, he is to someone, and that's all that really matters in baseball. When you're talking about free agency and the way things work, it's who's willing to pay. We do still live in America, right? Capitalism is still a thing, right? The open market will let you know what you are worth. And clearly, to one team, he was worth that much money over that many years with the opt-outs. So seriously, Scott Boras gets a lot of crap.
Marshall Harris, is he worth $40 million?
Not to me. I don't have $40 million lying around to give him.
Boss. Let's say you were Tom Ricketts.
I think in this situation, if you were Tom Ricketts, you might want to go ahead and roll the dice on that simply because of this. We know there's going to be a work stoppage after not this coming season, but the next season. You've got 2 years to prove to your fan base, to prove really to players and everybody else, the players who already play for your team, that you are about business. This would have been that type of move. At the same time, Lou, I'm with Cassie. Let Matt Shaw play. I'm like looking at this like, I don't know, a kid who has the pedigree to be in that Chris Bryant category. I'm not calling him Chris Bryant because I know what he's done for that team in this city, but I think he has that kind of outlook in which you could say, if you let him play every day, we can find out, is he ready or is he not? And then you can make adjustments on the back.
Bregman's 19 career postseason home runs come October would look nice. I fully expect the Cubs to win the division. I can't imagine Milwaukee goes out and does what it did last year, especially after some of the losses they had this offseason. I think the Cubs are going to walk away with the NL Central this year, and his 19 home runs in the postseason, most among third basemen all time, a guy who's great in the clubhouse, a guy who's been there, done that. I get it, he's getting a little bit older, but short term, I think Marshall's exactly right. You know it's looming in a couple of years here. What are you in this for? All right, you're not going to be in the Soto sweepstakes. Okay, fine, I get it. But, like, what are you in this for? This is Chicago. Why is it only New York and L.A.? Why is it only the coast seem to want to spend any money? If you're Tom Ricketts, you have all these advantages in baseball.
Carm, not only New York and L.A., I'm looking. The Braves spend more money. The Phillies spend more money. The Padres spend more money. That's what upsets me is this is a large market team, and it's 10th in Major League Baseball in spending. And I'm not saying to spend money foolishly out there, but legitimately, you're right, Marshall. This was a guy who got $40 million from the Red Sox, and if you feel you're a playoff team, then go for it.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't.
He's not going to be around.
I'll extend it even further than what he was saying when he was describing the teams. It feels like whenever there's a big contract that's more than $200 million, because we know what the Cubs are willing to spend. Dansby Swanson shows us what they're willing to spend on. It's literally the Giants, the Mets, the Phillies, the Yankees, and maybe one other team that kind of sneaks in there. But otherwise, this all comes back to the television revenue. It's not coming in like it was. But if you have your own network, if you're in, not even like where Yes is and some of these other, like the Dodgers are printing money right now. The Cubs feel like they can't compete with that from a business standpoint. I say sometimes you just got to break a few eggs to make that omelet.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, too, that during CubsCon, Ricketts talked to this and spoke to the fans who were annoyed that they don't pay up with these big contracts. They don't go into the luxury tax. And he's like, well, where do you think this money is going? We are spending every single dollar that we are bringing in and paying these players. But then you hear Jed Hoyer, who's, if I had to guess, tentative going to the Ricketts because they know the history that they don't want to go into the luxury tax. And there's maybe a divide there of knowing that Hoyer has to go to his boss, ask for this money. They're not willing to go into that. And so I feel like he's in a bad position knowing what's at stake for him in this season.
Spent $500 million on Kyle Tucker, keep him around town after 1 year, and
You
I'm
think they're going to
happy.
keep him?
Yeah, that's what they should do. That's
think
what
they're
they
going
should do.
No, I don't.
But back to what we're all
Heck
saying
no.
collectively, that is exactly what they should do. They should sit down and say, Kyle Tucker, if you are healthy at the end of this season, we are signing you to a big boy contract, because that's frankly what he deserves, and that's what he will get on the open market from someone else. So at some point, they're going to have to catch up with the big dogs. Otherwise, they're going to end up trying to Tampa Bay raid their way to a World Series win. How many World Series have the Tampa Bay Rays win, given all that they've been lauded for?
And Tampa's always a nice story, but to your point, like they're never going to be able to do enough from a fiscal standpoint to really put them over the top. You have built-in advantages in baseball, whether it's right or wrong. There are great inequities across the sport. I get that. You have a built-in advantage playing in this market, and to not take advantage of it is ridiculous, and it's a cop-out, and I don't believe for 1 second that the Cubs have no money. I just simply refuse to believe that there's no money. And if there's truly no money, if this is not a business that you're in to make money, you know, you bought the team for less than $1 billion, it's worth $5 billion, then sell it. Let somebody else who is willing to go the extra mile do it for their fans.
I know
it's
you're a big
ridiculous
White
in this
Sox
market, you
fan.
can't do it. Yeah.
You're a big White Sox fan.
Yeah,
Also a big market team, right?
Please.
I'm excited to see their pitching this year. I get it. They're going to lose 100 games, all right? They may lose 100 games, and we'll celebrate them losing 100 games because they'll be 21 games better than they. I know.
You know how bad you have to be to celebrate a 62-win season? I mean,
That's how bad it was last year.
But they're
Do I
willing
need
to wipe
remind
it
you
clean
all?
at spring training right now. They're like, oh, there's a ton of excitement in the clubhouse heading into a new season. We want to forget about last season and move forward with the first-time manager and all these young players.
I feel like that's the same thing they said kind of last season. They were excited about, oh,
And then
hey, there's
how-
positions to be won out here. There's battles to be had. Yeah, because your players aren't good enough that are slated right now at the top of said depth chart. I think that's one of the biggest issues right now with the White Sox is making people believe. But really, I think as a White Sox fan, I am resigned to it is what it is.
me too. That's our lot in life. I mean,
Yeah, it really-
and if Colson Montgomery can't win the starting shortstop job, I mean, like,
What a disappointment that would
Punch
be.
in the gut.
I mean, they're like, well, let's see if Colson Montgomery can win can win the job. I mean, like,
The job is his.
it should be. And
Can
if
he not
it's
lose
a
the
problem.
job once they run him out there every day? Can you bat well over the Mendoza line? Can you not
Please.
make errors at shortstop? These are the questions that we're asking ourselves, but that's the desperation of any given White Sox fan. I'm speaking, of course, about myself when I say that.
Look at
Do
the
you guys-
options. I mean, if he doesn't win that job,
You remember 1999. They finished
yeah.
up 75 and 86. And then in 2000, they came back and won the division.
right.
You're telling me that can't happen
there's
this
no
year?
way that can happen.
Okay, so I get this
Can they
email
develop
today
players?
talking about the topics that we're going to talk about, and I saw that suggestion, what you just said, and I
way.
read it. I wanted to roll my eyes, but I couldn't roll my eyes because I was too busy laughing. It's hard to roll your eyes and laugh at the same time.
Can I dream?
No.
Well, what will
no.
give them legitimacy?
Better players. That's what would give them legitimacy. We hear about how good their pipeline from the farm is supposed to be. But right now, prospects are prospects. That means they're not proven at the major league level. And right now, you're waiting to see if some of the pitching, some of the position players will be good enough to make a difference. If they don't start spending money, it's not going to matter. Because again, you've got to be able to get players either through trade, free agency, whatever. It can't just be your own players. Look around Major League Baseball and show me a team that has just its own players in 2025 and is doing just fine.